Today's video. This is a B1 level grammar lesson. Today we're going to continue talking about passive verbs or passive voice, and today we're going to be looking at using the passive with two object verbs. So just a quick review, remember, in an active sentence, David broke the window. To change that to passive, the object becomes the subject. The window was broken by David. So the verb break is a transitive verb or an object verb. A transitive verb or an object verb takes an object in the sentence. So now look at these sentences. We stayed at the hotel, the dog died, she arrived at the hospital. These sentences do not have an object, and the verbs in these sentences are intransitive verbs or no object verbs. You cannot use intransitive verbs in the passive voice. So you could not say something like, we was stayed at the hotel. Now, which verbs are transitive and which are intransitive? And is there an object? And if so, what is it? You can try these on your own and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. Okay, so the woman dropped the book. There is an object, the book, so dropped is transitive. The explosion has killed many people. So here, explosion is the subject, has killed, I guess people would be the object. So killed would be transitive, because you could say many people had been killed by the explosion or have been killed by the explosion. A ghost appeared in my room last night. So here we do not have an object. In my room is a prepositional phrase, and last night is an adverb phrase. So a ghost appeared. There is no object, so appeared is intransitive. The man is washing the car, so the car is the object, so is washing would be a transitive verb. So in active sentences, transitive or object verbs take a direct object. The woman dropped the book, the explosion has killed 3 people, the man is washing the car. Intransitive or no object verbs do not take an object. A ghost appeared in my room last night. So transitive verbs can be used in the passive. Remember that the object of an active sentence becomes the subject in a passive sentence. The woman dropped the book was dropped by the woman. The explosion has killed 3 people. 3 people have been killed by the explosion. The man is washing the car is being washed by the man. No object equals no passive. So a ghost appeared in my room last night. The passive is not possible because there is no object in this sentence. So how do you find the object? So look at this active sentence. The boy kicked the ball. These sentences follow the standard word order in English: subject, verb, object. So the man ate a hamburger. The hurricane destroyed the city. The cinemas showed the film. Now, you might want to think of these sentences in your native language, because other languages may have different word order, so it could be different depending on what language you speak. So is the standard word order in your native language subject, object, verb, or is it verb, subject, object? So in English, a noun appears the same whether it is the subject or object of the sentence. The man kissed the woman kissed the man. So what about in your language? Does the form of the noun change in any way? And if you would like to share in the comments what language you speak and how the rules might be different, to generate some interesting conversation. Now look at these sentences. In each sentence, what is the direct object? The woman painted the picture. So here, the picture is the object. The woman read the book to the child. So here, the book is the direct object. In this sentence, the transitive verb or object verb takes a direct object, the picture. In this sentence, the book is the direct object of the verb read. But what about the child? So many verbs in English take two objects, and these verbs are called ditransitive or two-object verbs. These sentences follow the standard word order in English, which is subject, verb, direct object, and indirect object. So the man gave the book to the child, the girl sent a postcard to her mother, the boy bought a gift for his friend. So the indirect object comes after the direct object. The indirect object is preceded by to or for. So the man gave the book to the child, the boy bought a gift for his friend. The indirect object comes before the direct object, and in that case, to or for would not be used. So the man gave the child the book, the boy bought his mother a postcard. So to use the passive, you must understand direct objects and indirect objects. So look at each sentence carefully. What is the direct object and what is the indirect object? So go ahead and try these on your own. And then you can pause the video while you do that and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. So he gave a bunch of flowers to his wife. So a bunch of flowers is the direct object. And to his wife is the indirect object. Okay, Jim bought a puppy for his son. For his son is the indirect object. Puppy is the direct object. The teacher told us a story. Here, story is the direct object, and us is the indirect object. Grandpa built a treehouse for his grandchildren. So grandchildren is the indirect object, and treehouse is the direct object. For verbs that have two objects, there are two ways to write a passive sentence. I gave a football to John. You could say John was given a football, or but you cannot say to John was given a football. So you would not add the to in the passive form of that sentence. Or I gave John a football was given to John and then by me. For the sentences in the next slide, determine what are the direct and indirect objects and then make two passive sentences. So for example, I sent a parcel to Jillian. So parcel is the direct object, Jillian is the indirect object, and a parcel was sent to Jillian. Jillian was sent a parcel are the two passive sentences. So go ahead and try these on your own and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. All right, so they showed a film to the children. So film is the direct object. Children is the indirect object. And the sentence would be, a film was shown to the children. The children were shown a film. The teacher told a story to the class. So story is the direct object. Class is the indirect object. So your two sentence was B. The class was told a story by the teacher. Or a story was told to the class. And then we get that by the teacher. Right? Jay asked Mrs. Peters a question. So question is the direct object. Mrs. Peters is the indirect object. So Mrs. Peters was asked a question by John, or by Jay, sorry. Or a question was asked to Mrs. Peters by Jay. Oops. And then Tom passed Blair the ball. So the ball is the direct object, Blair is the indirect object. So the ball was passed to Blair by Tom. Blair was passed the ball by Tom. I accidentally erased those answers, so I'll put up the answers here so that you, if you would like to copy those or take a screenshot, you can. Okay, the teacher handed the test to the students. So again, the tests, the direct object, to the students, the indirect object. The students were handed the tests by the teacher. The tests were handed to the students by the teacher. The waiter offered us dessert. Dessert is the direct object. Us is the indirect object. Dessert was offered to us by the waiter. We were offered dessert by the waiter. And this one you would have to change us to we, because us is an object pronoun. And if you're making the object the subject in a passive sentence, you need to change to the subject pronoun we. So we were offered dessert by the waiter. The company offered a job to Diane. So job is the direct object. Diane is the indirect object. So a job was offered to by Diane by the company. Diane was offered a job by the company. Lucy gave Julie a cake. Cake is the direct object. Julie is the indirect object. So a cake was given to Julie by Lucy, or Julie was given a cake by Lucy. So we often start with the person when we make a sentence in the passive. I've been offered a job by Google. He wasn't paid on time by his company. We were told a lie. So now make a passive sentence and start the sentence with the object that is a person and do not express the agent. So the first one's done as an example. They paid him a lot of money. He was paid a lot of money. So go ahead and try the rest of these on your own. Pause the video and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. Someone showed John the new car. So if we're going to start with the person, John was shown a new car. Stephen passed the ball to Philip. So Philip was passed the ball. And since we're not going to use the agent, we won't add by Stephen. Mr. Salvatore taught the passive to his students. So the students were taught the passive. And we do not include the agent by Mr. Salvatore. The police gave him the information. So again, if we're going to start with the person, we have to change him to he. So he was given the information. Again, we do not add the agent, so we don't add the police. Simon threw Melissa the ball. So we would say Melissa was thrown the ball. And they offered the position to Mrs. Oliver. Mrs. Oliver was offered the position. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Please like, subscribe, share, be sure to participate in the comments, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.